Hello and welcome to my video for AQA Philosophy specifications 7171 and 7172. This video is on alternatives to justified true belief. And as I always say about the videos, they're a revision video only. They're not supposed to be kind of comprehensive overviews of the topic. Okay, so if you've watched my previous video, or indeed you've got your notes there, which I'm sure you have, you'll know that for over 2,000 years, knowledge, as we understood it, was justified true belief. And then in the early 1960s, Edmund Gettier came along and basically undermined the concept. And you'll know the two examples that Gettier produced, and no doubt you'll have thought of some of your own problems. Okay, so once Gettier presents these, the problem was then how to overcome the problems that he'd identified and how we could basically establish good knowledge. Now, there's a couple of theories that arise, and the first one is a theory called no false lemurs or lemurs, and most attempts to resolve the problems that Gettier identified focus on strengthening the justification condition. And as I've said, one of these is called the no false lemur theory, and basically the theory states that knowledge is justified true belief, so a concept that we're already familiar with, plus nothing that is inferred from a false belief or lemur. So in the Gettier problem, where he talks about Smith and Jones and the job interview, the idea that Smith's knowledge that Jones will get the job from the false belief or lemur, that the man with 10 coins in his pocket will get the job, basically leads to poor knowledge. It's incorrect, and because it's a false lemur, it would be rejected as knowledge per se. And as such, this seems to provide a nice solution. It basically appears to resolve the Gettier problem in this instance. However, we can't necessarily be that quick in claiming that this solution appears to work in all instances. Okay, so one of the things that you will have come across when you're reading your philosophy textbooks is this place called Fake Barn County. So we're asked to imagine a place called Fake Barn County. I guess it's somewhere in the United States of America, who knows? But basically it's a place which offers a scenic drive where you can see lots of barns. However, what we find out is that the majority of these barns aren't actual barns themselves. They're simply facades, two-dimensional sort of things that we drive past, look at them, think they're a barn and drive on. And one of the problems that we encounter is, as we drive through Fake Barn County, you point to a barn which happens to be real. So, for example, let's say that there are 100 barns and you appear to have spotted the only one out of those 100 which is real. Now, in this case, there isn't a false lemur involved here. But can you actually say that you knew it was a barn, or were you simply lucky? I think most of us would think that you identified it out of luck rather than out of judgment. And as a consequence, there isn't a false lemur involved here, but can you really say that you have knowledge? Okay, the next theory that comes along is a theory proposed by Alvin Goldman, and it's called reliabilism. Basically, it's a theory that says knowledge is acquired through reliable means that produce consistently true results. As an argument, it seems to be fairly simple to understand, and it does seem to be intuitively true. For example, you would say that your eyesight is a consistently reliable source of knowledge. You use your eyesight all the time. When you're walking across roads, you're using your eyesight to judge the speed of cars, etc. However, it does remain problematic. Your eyesight may produce reliable knowledge more often than not, but in Fake Barn County, it may not be particularly reliable at all. You may be identifying fake barns as real barns, for example. Okay, another theory of how we acquire knowledge is virtue epistemology. Virtue epistemology comes from basically the work of Aristotle, and it says that knowledge is formed through the use of intellectually virtuous processes. In many ways it seems similar to reliabilism, although it avoids the pitfalls of reliabilism when we look at fake barn county. Now, how does virtue epistemology work? Well, one example is given by the philosopher Ernest Sosa, who uses archery as a model of the theory. Now, he says that basically in archery, a good shot requires three skills. It requires accuracy, so you have to have careful aim. You have to use adroitness, so skill, and then aptness is an appropriately skillful shot. So some of those terms seem quite similar to one another, but I hope you get the idea. So when we're using virtue epistemology, we are, thinking if we want to gain knowledge about something, we need to aim for what we're trying to gain knowledge about. We need to use appropriate skill, and then we need to use a sort of virtuous skills in trying to gain knowledge. Another person who believes in this theory is the philosopher Linda Zagzebski, and she says that knowledge is acquired through virtuous means. And although we're always looking to determine what knowledge we can gain, it may not necessarily be true, although she says it's always virtuous to pursue the truth. Okay, one of the problems with virtue epistemology is how we form knowledge. Can it really be said that babies possess intellectual virtues? It doesn't seem to be the case. It would seem that they do have knowledge, but we can't really claim that a sort of 6-month-old baby has developed into intellectual virtues at that particular age. On the other hand, reliabilism would not rule out the acquisition of knowledge by babies. Okay, the last theory that I'm going to talk about here is that of infallibilism. And basically it's the theory that knowledge must be certain and true in every instance. Now, that seems to be particularly good. Obviously, one of the things that we want to gain when we are gaining knowledge is that it is certain and it is true. The problem is that it actually precludes even the slightest doubt, and therefore the majority of knowledge that we possess. So you may well have been asked to boil water and to have concluded that it boils at 100 degrees centigrade, and that might seem to be good knowledge. However, if there is one instance where that might not happen, we can't claim that it's infallible knowledge, and therefore can't claim it to be knowledge in itself. So one of the problems that we have when we talk about acquiring knowledge is that if it's easy to undermine in the case of justified true belief, at the opposite end of the scale, we don't necessarily want to have to rely on knowledge that is absolutely infallible, because in that instance it seems that we would be able to know very little at all.